All right, here we go again. I'm gonna start out uh, about the spring semester or quarter of the last year I was at school, and at this particular time in my life, all of my playing was over with. All of the, rah 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 and all that stuff, and just getting all the good stuff going down and everything, and had a great season, great career. But in a athlete's life, it just seems to stop all of a sudden, and it's just, oh my God, what am I going to do? What's going on? I fell into a type of a depression, maybe, or not as such, but it was just a low point of my life at the particular time I'm talking about. So, but what I had going for me is we went into, me and a few other people, we went into the weightlifting teams and stuff like that, and really doing the things that we felt like it would get us to the next level, and maybe have an opportunity to go play in the Canadian League or something like that. So I did have that going for me, and I really worked way harder and longer at this particular time to get my strength and speed and gain a little more weight and such as that. So maybe if I did get an opportunity, I would be ready to do it. And lo and behold, I did get this opportunity. It felt, and I got a shot to go to up in the Canadian League. But anyway, this was after the spring, and this was in the summer of that particular year. And, it was one of those last kind of deals that went through. And I had been putting in a lot of time and working out hard. And it looked like it was going to be a good possibility that I would be able to play. And lo and behold, I don't know what happened. About 3 days before I went up there, I got some kind of real bad sickness, and I got, couldn't even get out of bed for 3 days, and it was just one of those things that happened. I look back on it, and maybe it was a gift and maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I wasn't really prepared when I went up there to do what I needed to do because that set me back a good bit. And you can't, you got to be, when you hit the ground over there, you got to be going. You can't look back because everybody else is trying to get a contract, get a job there. So it cruised along there for a little while, but actually it was never something that manifested, and it wasn't, it didn't come down the pipe like I wanted it to, and it just it just didn't set well. So, I'm coming back to the United States now with my butt tucked, and you got to have it's a lot of political things that are going on with coaches and all that too, because they've got their Canadian players, and you got to have so many of them, and you got to have a few of the American players at the time. So anyway, it didn't work out. So man, I mean, this dark cloud just fell on me, and it was rough. And all I could do is turn to alcohol and drugs and stay. I would be working out, trying to find some way of getting a tryout for one of these pro teams, and it would just never seem to happen. And every now and then I'd get a little light at the end of the tunnel, but it never would come through. It was just something my size was against me, and I knew that, but it was devastating to have that come down in my life after going through so much football and so much preparation, so much time and effort put into it, and then it's over. So then I had to, it just was work. I had to work my way out of all of this and try to get into my way of doing, making a living. And it was not easy situation for me. So, I mean, I went into some pipeline work, things of that nature. I did eventually get my degree, but, my drinking and my drugging was just overwhelming, and it was getting next to me. And by this time, I have, if you want to be called a full-blown alcoholic and drug addict, I was one, but I could hold down a job and do decent with, at that particular point. But, finally I did get the degree, like I said, and I went into coaching for a few years, and I got into coaching, and I had some good times in it, but it was. It was interfering with a lot of things that I was doing. I really wasn't ready to coach. I love coach. I loved it, but I wanted to play. Well, the second year I think it was the first. No, it was the first year I went into coaching. Well, let me go back. Right in that time element. I had gotten a call, or I gotten some kind of. I just remembered this. I had gotten a something about free agent. I don't know, deal with and I think with the Saints, and they all mainly basically what it was come down there and it was like one of those things. You go down there and you run your 40, you do all these different drills and everything, and check it out and see if you can even make the next level. But anyway, I had made my mind up that I was going to go try that. Well, I got this old guy that he said he knew some people down in that area, so I thought, well, he can ride down there with me and everything. So anyway, we took off, was going that way, and I think we got into outside of Baton Rouge and all that, and this old guy, he took it on his own. I didn't know. He was a kinfolk of mine by marriage, and really didn't know him that well. But I was grasping for straws for anything, and I don't know if he set me up by saying he knew such and such about, whatever in New Orleans. But anyway, we got down in there, and he did a little deal that I didn't really know about, but I was part of it because he was with me. And man, it got to be. It wasn't no little deal. After a little while, I mean, the guy took some money from I can't remember what place it was or something. And anyway, I was in the car, I was driving my car down there. So, it was just, wow, this kind of situation happened, and we were leaving, and all of a sudden, man, they jumped down on the deal and the law and everything got go. It was serious. It became a very serious situation. All of it at once. I've never never had any difficulty like this, and but and all of a sudden I'm in the middle of it, But anyway, thank God. I mean, he kind of took all the, we were all took to the law, to the deal and everything, and anyway, it all come out that he, took all the heat on it because it was a situation where it was confronted about him, and I had never been in that any kind of other than PI or something like that, driver, and I got that deal at Tech when I bumped into that cop, but it was something over my head. I've never been had to go through this, but it was really tough. I mean, it was bad in respect of what I had ever been through. But lo and behold, it all worked out, and I didn't have to go into any situation. I think they gave me some kind of like a probation for being on the scene, in the scene, around the scene, and I happened to be driving, so they, it was, I didn't get off set free, but I got the best thing for everything. It went down, so it all worked out, but that just drove me to devastation. Really, I didn't know, but this is gets me into a point where I just was living to drink and drink to live. It's just a drug, and went on like that, and. Anyway, I got free from all of that. I didn't really have to have any problems with it. Just going through it was enough for me. But I was, it was just like, oh my God, we got. But I finally got into the coaching, and like I said, my first year, we had a pretty good, successful year. I mean, I thought it was, and we had for the little school I was at, but I couldn't believe it. But this time it was one of those leagues were starting at the time. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was World Football League. I don't know what it was. That kind of stuff. It was the summer stuff. Anyway, I got a call on that to go to a tryout, and anyway, that got me kind of feeling good. I got back in the swing of things, and that's really what kind of I wanted to do. I thought, well, if I do successful in that league, I could go get a good jump into Canada, a good prospect list, and maybe somebody would pick me up through that. So anyway, I go over there, and everything's cool. I walk out there and start doing my deal, and man, all of a sudden, hell, they come up to me and said, "Hey, we want you on our team," and things of that nature, and we want everything going on. So they had a game the next couple of weeks, and I was in decent shape and everything. So anyway, I started working out with them and doing all that kind of stuff. And the next week we go out there, and I've got to start position. I got just walked in there. It was really, it seemed like a blessing to me. But anyway, I was out there. We were out there in shorts on a Thursday and getting ready to play, getting ready for the game. I don't know, it's Saturday, I guess, Saturday game. And it might have been televised. I'm not sure. But anyway, we were just messing around, and it was in shorts. And I jumped up and just playing around. And, man, I come down on the side of my foot and on my ankle, and that thing blew up like a basketball. And I had broke a little bone in my ankle, man. And it just, it was, I've never had that situation happen to me. So there I go, man. I'm back to zero now, and I'm in a cast. I got a lot of things, it was just terrible. So all this was just like, I'm on a hilltop. Now I'm in the dadgum valley again, nothing to do except nurse this broken ankle and have to go through all that again. And it was just, it drove me insane. So there, that was another just up and down dark avenue that I had to go through, and I got through it, all that and everything, and but in the process, I tried to coach a little bit, went through the necessary routine of coaching a little bit, but it wasn't very long after that. My dad helped me get a business of my own and everything. So we came back. I'd already had my kids and everything, had a little family, and I thought that was going to be I thought maybe that's just going to help me out. But I'm still doing all of the things that the drugs, the alcohol is just, I was able to have enough finances and income one way or the other to be able to do this stuff, and by that it just got worse and worse. You know, it wasn't nothing I could do. It was just I had to keep up with the situation. You know, keep doing it. So anyway, it blew by. We went and got this place, and we opened up this business, and boy, everything was really doing good and all that, and everything. It just seemed like it was going to be a win-win opportunity for me. And this was, I mean, it just set, you know, just took off. But we had we had some situations happening with the economy, and a lot of things went haywire within the next year and the next year, and it just seemed like it was going downhill from there. But I was running that course, man. You know, you think you're a businessman and you think you got a this and that, doing all that, but all I was a drunk and a drug head. I would cover it up the best I know how to do it. Didn't have very many run-ins with the law, you know, like that. Just every now and then had to go do something. I had to get a PI or something. I don't know. It's just always something that I had to, you know, deal with. And then, you know, that kind of situation. But I tell you what, I was leaving sanity behind. I was insane. And I was it was like pins and needles to be around me a lot of times, and it was tough because, you know, I didn't really. I started, but it was now I'm drinking just to be numb, to be blacked. It is not to deal with myself. I could not. I began to hate myself and what I was and what I was doing, and you know, just being a fake. You know, it was I couldn't even stand myself to live in my own skin. That's if you understand what I'm saying. And I hope, you know, if you gotten these kind of things going on, if you started where I was, where you've been keeping up with what I've been talking about, and now we're in a position where, you know, it's unbearable to me. It's unbearable. So anyway, I'm going to talk about my last drunk right now, and then I'm going to get off of here because it was a turning point, obviously, in my life. I can say it was my last drunk because it has been, and I hadn't had any alcohol or drugs or anything, any mood altering chemicals since this went down. But I was out at this bar. I closed down the business, and I was at this bar out there, and you know, I don't know what was going on. I mean, I felt like the walls were closing in on me. I felt like things were going so bad that I was not able to function with society in these, even in a bar. Man, I had to make some kind of move. I just felt like something was going to burst wide open in me if I didn't do something. So I said, man, I got to get out of this town. I got to get away from here. So anyway, I got, fortunately, this old younger guy, I said, man, I tell you what you do. If you can ride me around for a while, I'd appreciate it. I'm too messed up. I can't function. I don't want to get picked up by the law and thrown in jail. I said, can you do this for me? He said, yeah, man. Yeah. You know, he knew me, obviously. So we took off, and man, we left one state and go to another state, just driving around, and I'd be drinking and drugging, just completely way out of touch with life. And it was just on and on. We even ran out of beer one time, and we were going through a area where it was dry. And hell, I done told him, I said, look, if we don't ever do this again, don't ever we run out of beer again because I don't know what I might do to you or to anybody. So I gave him enough money. We finally got into another state that was wet, and he went in there and bought all we could, and filled the truck up with whatever we had, put it in the back, whatever it was, and lo and behold, we just went on down the road. We were just going from, town to town. We just might stop, stay the night, and go on to the next one. Nobody knew where I was. My wife, my kids, nobody. We were, we were AWOL. So it went on for about 3 or 4 nights, and anyway, it came down. I'll never forget this. It came down on a Sunday morning. I was a running drunk, and I would get up and run, and I'd do the things that were try to get that alcohol out of my system so I could put some more in my system and everything like that. Well, anyway, I come to that morning, and I had all the alcohol, I had all the drugs, I had it all with me. But anyway, so I got out and I started running. We were out in the open, kind of a forest area. We had gotten down in the woods, and that's where we went down at. That's where we slept and everything else. So I just got out, and it was in the summer, and so it was hot. So anyway, I just got out and started running, and just started, matter of fact, I tried to drink a beer before I was going to do that, and I couldn't get it down. I said, man, what the hell's wrong with me? I can't even get this beer down. So I said, man, I've got to take a run here. I'd run a couple of miles, and I'd come back all, wore out and sweaty and everything. And I said, hell, I can throw back whatever it needs to be done, because wasn't drinking to be drinking. I was drinking to be, to escape from me. I didn't like me. I didn't want to be me. I just would numb out. So, that's where I was. So I got back from that run, and all of a sudden, I said, hell, I popped that top, man, and I started to, drown. Started chugging one. I wanted it down, and man, it all come back up. I said, God, what in the hell is going on? I couldn't keep a beer down. I couldn't keep nothing. So anyway, I just said, hey, buddy, I don't know. I freaked out. I absolutely, this is where my mind flipped. I couldn't drink any alcohol to do what I needed to do with my system, and I wasn't thinking about hitting any drugs right then. I was overwhelmed about that I couldn't drink. So I said, man, I tell you what, I really believe, I'm going to tell you this, and I really want you to understand, I do not know what I might do in this situation I'm in, and I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt me. I don't want to hurt anybody. I want to get my butt back home so I can lock myself in and and try to get through this situation where I'm at. I just didn't want, I knew that I knew I could do that. I knew I could flip and black out, and all of a sudden, I'm in bad trouble. So anyway, he understood because I was really serious about everything. So we got in the truck, and we probably was 100 miles away or so. And anyway, we got it as fast as we could. We got back to where we were, where I lived and everything. And anyway, I dropped him off, and then I got to my house, and I got there, and nobody was there. And anyway, I sit there for a few minutes or an hour. I don't know exactly what it was. I don't know if I went over this on my drunk log or whatever, when I was going in. But anyway, that's how where I was in my life. And this was the last time that I had any alcohol or drugs in my life. This was the unbelievable, outrageous, I say, devastating. I thought I was ready to die. I thought I was ready to die. I thought it was over. I really didn't want to live. I didn't have any, I thought, reason to live. That's how dark it had gotten. But I had a friend that I called, and he came as fast as he could, and he probably most likely saved my life. I didn't even know that I called him, really. I forgot. He was there. He's knocking on the door. Somebody was knocking on the door, so I went and answered it. But anyway, that was what started, believe it or not, the darkest day or minute or hour of my life was the brightest thing that ever happened to me. The sun, God Almighty hand was upon me not to do anything that would take my life. And I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful. But anyway, I'm gonna shut it down right there. But that's I think I went into the going into the nut house and everything on my drunkalog. So I'm gonna shut it down there, and I think I'm gonna get into proportions of, I want to go back over and start living the solution about all of my drinking and drugging. And now I don't have to drink. I don't have to drug. I don't have to do nothing but thank God in the mornings and do other things that keep me sober on a daily basis. So I'm going to go into that. I want y'all, if y'all have been in that dark dungeon that I just talked about, you know what I'm saying. You know how reality is. It's already, we've gone, I went too far, but thank God I didn't have to go an ounce further. I'm overwhelmed, with gratefulness. So I just want to right now just reach out to anybody that has even gotten there or is going there, and they can identify with what I'm talking about, and maybe they can realize that, hey, there is hope. There is hope out here. I don't have to do I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to pull a gun, shoot myself. I don't have to stab. I don't have to do anything that's going to take my life. So I just want to give you a bright, hopeful second that hope that it's on the freedom from alcohol is on the way. It's in your whole darkness. It will bring light to the total darkness that you don't even see. So hang on, and I am going to be back, but I'm going to be talking about from the days of my sobriety, and I'm going to try to intermingle from days of my drinking to drugging and then put my sobriety, what happened, what's going on, what happened to keep me on a daily basis that I didn't have to drink again. So I'm over and out. Talk with y'all later. Thank you.